But yeah, we're going to get into our next topic. This will be our third story, unfortunately, about Richard Simmons that has come onto the show. We did talk about his passing a few weeks ago, and then we talked about the fact that there was an investigation into his death and the unfortunate situation of headlines misleading you into clicking. That's something we talked about either last week. I think it was the week before, actually, that we talked about that. Well, now it has come out that Richard Simmons' family has slammed Pauly Shore of MTV fame and an actor and comedian in his own right for claiming that Richard Simmons didn't write his own social media posts. Now, Richard Simmons and Pauly Shore have, in the past, kind of butted heads over the filming of a biopic in honor of Richard Simmons. Apparently, Pauly Shore. Well, I'll just read the article and then we'll talk about it. Richard Simmons' family has responded to Pauly Shore's recent claims about the late fitness guru. Pauly Shore, whose decision to write and star in films about Simmons' life, including the short film The Court Jester, was derided by Simmons on social media, recently said that he wasn't so sure Simmons was actually behind the social media posts, speaking out against the project. When Shore's biopic was announced in January of 2024 about Richard Simmons, Simmons responded on Facebook that he had, quote, never given my permission for this movie. The Pauly Shore biopic does not have my blessing, unquote. The two entertainers then went head-to-head on social media several times about the biopic before Simmons' death in July. Now, Pauly Shore, who is 56 years old, told Entertainment Tonight on July 30th that he, quote, didn't even know if that was him tweeting the whole time, unquote, when it came to the biopic. But he still insisted that Simmons, quote, unquote, wanted him to make the biopic. On July 31st, Simmons' staff posted a statement on from Simmons' brother Lenny on X, that confirmed, quote, Dickie absolutely wrote his own posts, unquote. He worked on them a week in advance, going over and over them to get the right message, he wrote in the statement. He would often read them to Kathy and I beforehand. The statement also confirmed that Simmons did not, quote, text, email, or call Pauly with anything, not even to wish him good luck, as Pauly has stated many times, unquote. So I talked...
I thought it was fake. You can't hardly keep up with anything anymore. I mean, you go to looking at social media and something popped up and I thought it was fake. So I was like, oh, whatever. And I should have not scrolled past it. I guess I should have read it. But I guess he really did die. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's bad, but...
Well, that's a different story. There were several hoaxes over the years of Richard Simmons' untimely passing that were obviously proven to be false. But, yeah, he did actually die in July, as Katie and I reported right here on the show. Again, then we reported on the fact that I think it was Los Angeles County Coroner was investigating his death. And I think it was either The Guardian or MSNBC or something like that. It had a headline in there, Richard Simmons' death under investigation, made it seem like there was some nefarious means. So we talked about that and how headlines are so misleading. And now this has been brewing for a while prior to and post-death. And it is very apparent to me after having done the research that Richard Simmons was adamantly against this biopic from Pauly Shore.
All of this feels really snaky.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just kind of like made me feel like who got paid off or what not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a scary proposition too in this day and age, and really this is a thing that's always been allowed. Is literally anybody out there can write a biography or a biopic or whatever about anybody they want. There is absolutely no laws against it. So, like, if I wanted to write a biography about Katie Lynn, I could do it without her blessing. There ain't shit she could do about it. As long as I don't libel her at all in the book, then it's fine. It would obviously, if there's something in it that's untrue, then Katie could sue me, and then I could get in trouble. But there's nothing that stops me from writing a book about Katie Lynn. Absolutely nothing. And same goes for movies. Now, obviously, if you're trying to sell the movie, this biopic, clearly you're going to want Richard Simmons' blessing in that because it's. I mean, if he shares it and his blessing is part of it, that's a huge thing. If you don't have that, it looks even worse than like it looks really bad, just as it would look really good if you did have the blessing. You know.
I don't
Just
know.
just seems to me now that Richard Simmons is here and can't speak for himself, Pauly Shore is awfully vocal about this all of a sudden because, like,
I know. Like it's like odd timing, sir.
yeah, it's like why weren't you saying
Speaking
this
out for
after
someone that can't
January?
speak.
Like you announced in January the biopic, you could have very easily at that point said, you know, they're claiming this is Richard Simmons and it's not, and then Richard Simmons, all he would have had to do was just film a video saying, yes, it's me. Stop, I don't give my blessing to this. But now that he's dead, he can't dispute it, and that's what looks shady, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
go ahead and probably publish it, and then they're going to just think, oh well, watch this all unravel, and it's all going to really probably be in the book, anything they want to know, but they're just going to try to probably turn it into something that it's not, if it's anything to do with the book.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things I found to be pretty funny, maybe in an ironic sense, is Richard Simmons did have somebody in mind, and he was working on writing his own biography at the time of his death. And the person he wanted to play him was Tom Cruise. So you can kind of see that Richard Simmons was thinking a little bit bigger than Pauly Shore, perhaps. Just
Right.
saying.
Maybe
Yeah.
so. I
But
would, but
But according to Richard Simmons' publicist, Tom Etsy, Richard Simmons said the Pauly Shore biopic does not have my blessing. Some major studios are interested with me being involved in my story. The word "my" is in big letters. Who should play me? Tom Cruise. LOL. And that's directly from Richard Simmons' X account. Another post that was posted on Facebook. I just read that a man, this is from Richard Simmons, this is one of the ones that Pauly Shore is saying was not written by Richard Simmons, says, I just read that a man that I don't know is writing my biopic starring Pauly Shore. I do not approve this movie. I am in talks with major studios to create my own biopic with some help. Wait for this movie. So, yeah, that's on his own social media, so that is a pretty strong statement against Pauly Shore. And to be fair, this should not be news anymore, right? This should just be the end of it. In fact, Pauly Shore should probably not even release this movie at this point.
no, like at this point, it's like, God, let the family rest. Like
Right.
they're investigating his death, and now we got all this shit happening.
Exactly right.
No.